Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos, Adam P, and Cory Connors.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going?
Woo.
It's Monday.
So I'm
right,
feeling
man.
after my Denver Nuggets lost Game 7.
R.I.P.
Oh, man. Nothing like
So
losing
sorry.
the Nuggets.
They were up by 20, Evelio, 20 basketball points, and then they lost double. I'm really bringing the positive, high energy that I always bring to the show.
Yeah, let's do it.
At least I don't work in Minneapolis and have to deal with all the Minnesota Timberwolves fans this week when I go there. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. We got another great show lined up for you today. Here
Packaging.
Hey, let's go.
We'll be here all week.
Coming at you.
Live from Salt Lake City, Utah, in my parents'
waitress.
basement. Hey, yeah. It's your host, Raw Dog. Hey, I'm on the microphone today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it. We're changing your name on the show. That's it.
Please, I will lose my Southern Baptist denomination. I can't marry people then if I change it to that.
It just means there's no ketchup. That's it. That's wrong.
You're just not you're just not a real packaging professional. That's all it is, man.
Yeah.
I
Fraud dog. More like it.
I wonder when that's gonna go. I wonder when we're gonna let that one die.
Never.
Oh, God. Never. For sure.
Never. Goonies
right,
never
you.
die.
Goonies.
Yeah.
So,
Life.
all right, man. So you got a bunch of stuff. So you went and you played with the ball. Nugget. So good time.
Nuggets.
No, I did not. I did get to go to. I spent
Hey,
some
you just
time
did
in
like a
Tulsa.
basketball thing, right?
Well, I was out there. So I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and got to go to Milo's Tea Company. That was pretty cool. If you're familiar with Milo's, they make some incredible sweet tea. Got to go up to Wichita, Kansas, and make a pilgrimage to the original Freddy's. Canada, is that what you said?
Yeah.
No, they're different.
North.
Kansas and Canada are two different places.
Oh, my bad.
I know you're all the way in Oregon. It's just like, oh, we're better than everybody. We get it. Okay.
Great Northwest. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I got to go to the original Freddy's restaurant, which if you've never eaten at Freddy's, I think it's pretty fantastic. It's at the top of my like fast food burger conversation, and I nobody agrees with me, and that's fine.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, they just have. I just think that they do everything
Midwest only.
I don't know. They've expanded a pretty good amount. If you've been at Freddy's, let us know in the comments. Where have you eaten Freddy's?
Yeah,
I think there's one in Phoenix. I think there's one in Phoenix.
Yeah, there probably is.
But
yeah, I don't know. I like their stuff. It's kind of like, to me, if In-N-Out and Whataburger like had a baby secretly and then born into the world, it would be Freddy's. But nobody's gonna really admit that. Hey, Hugh, I got Hugh. Hugh is on the Freddy's bandwagon. Thank you, Hugh.
Nice.
Marco's apparently
Freddy's
not as
differently.
Good morning, Brandon Jonas.
But yeah, and then I also got to watch basketball a weekend at the Puma circuit in I apologize to anybody who follows me on Instagram. There's no packaging content there. Leave me. You can leave. You don't have to.
Yeah.
please just it's a lot of it. But I do it for the children. I do it to help
the kids. For the kids, man. All right, man. So real quick, we typically do it. We're working on doing like a post of the day, post of the week. But today I kind of want to change it up a little bit and do this LinkedIn news, right? So on the right side, you've got your LinkedIn image, your top stories. There's a story there, and it says that younger workers want purpose. And
yes, older workers do not. They just want the paycheck.
We don't do shit.
Show me the money.
Yeah, that's the crazy
The older
part.
workers.
No,
And if you
smile
get
for
that
Carl.
reverence, you understand it. Yeah, you understand this. Yeah.
So,
Hi, Chris.
Chris got you at him.
Tough break.
Yeah, so like this younger workers thing, wanting purpose. I don't know how I feel about it. Well, actually, I do know how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I feel about it. Just work, right?
Yeah.
I think it's only in the U.S. and maybe it's because I'm old and it's like, oh, it's that old guy mentality. But
get off my lawn.
Yeah, when I talk to people in Europe, it's usually like, oh yeah, I do this for work, and at 5 o'clock I'm out, and then I've got the rest of my life, and this is what I do for fun. I play football. I do they've got like
soccer. It's pronounced
life
soccer
outside of work. They're not looking for this work-life balance with their job delivering purpose in their life. It's really
that's what I heard from the students at UW Stout. That's what they want to. They want to have a purposeful career. They want to help the world somehow be a better place. I support that. I think it's an important part of your life. You spend more time at work than you do with your friends and family. Oftentimes, if you're a hard worker or work a lot of hours like we do, but I think you're right. You shouldn't look at it as your only way to have a purpose.
All right, young people, come in here. Just
come
on.
Bring it
come on
in
here
to the Reverend.
Come on here. Listen to Reverend Uncle Adam. Come on, just right here in the camera, me and you.
Just get up close.
All right. So here's the deal, young people. You have 168 hours every single week. You're awake for right around 115 of those hours. Studies show that you're really only effective work. Oh, well, we're way in. Studies really show that you're only effective working 35 to 40 hours a week, which means that you have 70 to 75 hours every single week. And that's what Evelio is talking about.
For purpose. Purpose hours.
I mean, it's not wrong to want purpose, obviously. Yeah, put me on bottom. It's not wrong to want purpose. But that you can find purpose. You should be able to find purpose, right? Like Mark Cuban has a great quote, like, don't follow your passions in work. Like, I was not passionate about packaging. I got a job and I worked hard and I started to find out cool stuff about it. And I didn't come into this like Jay Quinn. I wasn't born in a vat of packaging. I found ways to connect to the things that I'm really passionate about, like my faith and, being a good steward of the world that I believe that God has given me. Like, I found this stuff and I connected it in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, but I mean, but for real though, like you can be purposeful. There's a great book by he worked in a monastery. His name is Brother Lawrence, and he was a dishwasher, and he had this incredible, fulfilling life washing dishes in a monastery, and he wrote about it. But it's like, guys, not everything has to be like, I work at the greatest company and we do all this great stuff. Like, you can infuse hard work with your passion, and then you have 70 hours outside of work to do incredible stuff. But instead, this is my soapbox and I'm off. Instead, people average 40 to 45 hours consuming content on social media. If you want to find purpose, get the beep off social media. Sorry, I had to edit myself out there. Get off social media and go find purpose and go live. That would be my take.
Yeah.
Anyway, soapbox done. Thanks, young people, for listening to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is the post. You'll see it. You'll see it on LinkedIn today. Younger workers want purpose, but I agree with you, man. I think if you really break it down, if you're in packaging, like, what is your purpose? You're here to sell stuff, but you're here to make pretty trash. Like, that's pretty much what. If we get down to it, right? If you try to find any purpose beyond that. I tell myself that I'm here to help eliminate packaging. It helps me sleep at night and get rid of waste. And that's part of what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, if I'm not delivering great packaging to stores, it's not competing, it's not selling a product, I'm not paying my mortgage, and I think that's the thing is, find purpose somewhere else and then let it connect to what you do every day. you're not going to find a job that's going to fulfill everything for you, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
No,
work should be work.
Although you can make a difference at your job, I believe that.
Damn it, Cory, you're always so positive.
Yeah. And
course,
I think
actually,
our topic today has a lot to do with that. Things like reusable packaging, things like more sustainable packaging. There are ways in this world of packaging to make a difference that's positive, and but it shouldn't be your sole life's work. You should have other things. They say I read a book about volunteering and adding value to your life and to others. About 100 hours a year of volunteering really is the number that will make you feel good about what you're doing and not overwhelm you. So I highly recommend that. Join a board of a local kids charity or something like that, where you can add some real purpose there.
Or just move to Tennessee. it's the volunteers.
Because you're volunteering.
It's the volunteer state.
Nice. Hey, I read a book too. You guys are all dropping your books. I've read books before too.
I don't believe it.
Wow. Tell us about your book, Evelio. Was it the kids' book, Packaging Peaks in a Sticky Situation? Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
It's a good book.
Great book.
Yeah.
All right, man. So here's let's get this up here. All right, so this is in The Guardian. It just didn't work. How businesses are struggling with reusable packaging. This is a good article. It came out a couple of days ago, and it kind of gets into Tailwinds Cafe in Seattle and a couple other brands out there. Of course, there's gonna be ads in here, but it's an article about reusable packaging and the challenges of it and why it just doesn't work in some cases. Then I thought it was great because like a day later comes out this article in Grist, which is basically how do you get it to work? How can we get brands and people to embrace reusable packaging? Both of these, you can take a look at it. I'll have links in here as well. You can check them out. They both mentioned this company PR3, which I think is pretty cool. I'm not sure if you guys have had them on your podcast, but if you haven't, you should definitely reach out. These guys are working to standardize reusable packaging. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge, right? Yeah. Every brand out there wants to develop their own reusable packaging so that you have to go back to their store. There's not a system in place that does that. Right. As a consumer, I might go shopping at one grocery store one day and then go to a different grocery store another day for different products.
Right.
If there's no standard of packaging between all of the brands, then there's really not a bigger system that can be created to clean it, wash it, recycle it as needed and bring it back to the stores. Then you're counting on each store to have to build a system in order to clean, wash, deliver all of this packaging to be reused and refill. And that just costs too much money. And right. I think that's the biggest challenge is money. There's no standard.
Right. Yeah, I want to talk about the Dieline Award we just won at Aurora Packaging for Jarboe, which is a reusable packaging system that is standard and that will conform for many different products. If you have one reusable thing for one reusable product, there's 30,000 plus products at a grocery store. It's impossible to collect those. There's no way the system would break. You'd need another warehouse next to every grocery store to collect all of the packaging materials and to clean it and bring it back to production to refill. So Jarboe does that by having the same form factor and being diverse enough to accommodate different materials like peanut butter and nuts and mayonnaise and olive oil, things like that, all can be packed in the same kind of packaging.
I will. I mean, I know that the devil went down to Georgia, and so I'll be the advocate.
It's true. It's true.
Q. No,
nothing. I had to reset my
Oh yeah, fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We fired our producer.
You can sing it for us.
I do not need to do that. I think it's a case of economics and truly a case of study, right? So there was a company that I was working with who had the same form factor. They had almost everything was done direct to consumer through online ordering, and it was in glass. And I said, hey, have you ever looked at returnable, so that you could just keep the same glass flowing through? You know, you just clean it and then you refill it. And he was like, yeah, but we've got to get the label off. We've got to get the whole thing cleaned. By the time we run it through the whole process, it's 4 to 5 times more expensive than to just buy more glass. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, but it's, you know, what's the impact? He's like, but if you look at the wastewater, and if you look at all the chemicals that we have to use in order to get everything cleaned, he's like, I actually think it's a loss from a sustainability perspective for this particular customer, right? This is obviously, we've talked about this at length, that there's not one silver bullet for packaging.
But I think a lot of labels.
Yeah. And I don't know that they would have worked for that particular application, because but Smart Solve is a great solution for certain places when they're using returnables. I think about pallet labels, you know, stuff like that, where you just want to rinse something off and then put it back out there. Yeah. But there is a question of economic viability that a linear path for packaging with, you know, either an end of life that does involve some type of recycling, or composting, or non-impact in, you know, in like a marine environment, like a Smart Solve paper or something like that, right? Like something that has that. Evelio, going all the way back to your point about we got to make stuff that helps people make money. It's pretty trash that helps people sell product and be profitable. And so if you start injecting all of these costs in, and if the LCA impact isn't really there, then it's a non-starter. It's a non-starter economically, but then if it's backed up by sustainability data that doesn't help it, that's where it becomes like, is this thing going to be able to scale to a place?
Yeah. I can tell you what's working right now, which is an exciting thing in reusable packaging. Is a company called Bold Reuse, and they're for event centers like Moda Center and Arizona State University, Kansas Soccer Club. They are reusing cups for alcohol beverages. And they've already diverted over 350,000 single-use cups from the landfill because they're washing them locally, and it's working. It's saving the company money, and it's a great experience for the consumer. They get a better quality cup to use while they're drinking, and then they just put it in the reuse bin, and it gets washed and returned for nearly unlimited uses. It's an amazing system. It's working. That closed loop system like that makes sense for reusable right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm checking out Bold Reuse here. So yeah, they've got like a heavy duty plastic cup. And again, you got to figure out how much plastic we're using for these cups versus how much plastic we're using on just like a solo cup or takeout cup, and how many times is it actually being reused, and does that balance out? And it seems like they're getting there.
The recovery rate's really high. I think it's in the 90% range, which is awesome.
Yeah. And those are the things that you have to consider, right? It's not just, hey, we got to reuse this, but Vincent here is saying, like, you know, shipping consumer products, takeaway food, et cetera. Some sectors are going to be more readily suited for reusable packaging. And he agrees with me because,
because he must have read books too. Yeah.
I was,
no, wait.
Okay, good. Keep going.
Here's the thing.
Slaking.
Erewhon. So the grocery store in LA, Erewhon, these guys are crushing it in the space because they're using basically like a glass mayonnaise jar, like what you think of like as a mayonnaise jar. That's what they're using across their entire store. It's silkscreen branded with their logo, Erewhon, and then the product inside is pretty much just, you know, it's a clear glass. So you can see everything inside. So they're using it for all their in-house homemade soups, which is on display in a fridge, and it looks beautiful because you're seeing all these colors and all these different products, and you can clearly see what they are. And they're also using it for like all their nuts, for all their nut butters. And when you go down this aisle, right, throughout the store, they're going to have other products. But when you see all the Erewhon products, it's consistent. And they've got like 2 or 3 sizes of jars, like small ones and big ones, and they're all glass and clear, and it looks amazing. Like you see all their dried fruit in there. You see,
that's a cool idea. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really well done, and it's expensive,
Sure.
but every product has a buyback, right? You're basically renting that packaging, incentivizes you to bring it back, so the next time you buy the same product, it's gonna be a little bit less. There's like a whole system around it, and then they clean it and wash it in house because they've got a restaurant in there as well, so they've got all the cleaning and sanitizing equipment to do that.
Perfect.
Internally, but that's the only one that I've seen really well done.
Yeah.
I think the challenge too is people are going to want to keep some of those, and then it doesn't really recycle back.
Good point. You have to kind of make it ugly, right?
No, I think that's kind of the challenge. And then we've got someone here. I'm not sure who this is, but basically the Graza olive oil. They just released a refillable aluminum can. They've got a squeeze bottle, but you can buy the set. And here's where I don't necessarily agree with Graza is it's a huge e-com box to get a squeeze bottle of olive oil, and then you get like multiple aluminum cans of oil, and that you can pop and refill.
The problem I think that people are going to run into, if it's not like we were talking about with the Erewhon, where the sanitizing is happening at a professional facility is sanitizing and cleaning it, is, let's say if you're an olive oil company and you pride yourselves on really high quality olive oil, and it's now the consumer the idea is like they're just refilling the same thing of olive oil over and over and over again. But what if that olive oil container gets contaminated with something, right? Some kid put something in there, and then somebody pours olive oil in, and then they use that to cook, and it's harmful, or it impacts the taste or whatever it is. This is where I think brands get a little bit scared of allowing the consumer to handle the refill.
Yeah.
Because, so for like a cleaning product or something like that, but for food, I think it's pretty sketchy.
Well, even cleaning products, because remember, was it Alex Reed from Truman's?
Yeah.
We spoke to him a couple of times, and he was saying how, the question was like, well, why are you shipping big empty spray bottles with all the little killer refills?
Right.
Why don't you just send the refills and let people fill it in their own bottles? Now is the challenge. It's like, we can't send chemicals in the mail and then have them refill a bottle that they didn't clean properly, and all of a sudden you've got a reaction that makes them sick, because then they're liable.
That was the concern from Clorox. So they did this. They have these dispensing pods, and these little tiny pods are recyclable, made of number 2 plastic. And that was the concern when I interviewed them, of the chemistry being off, if too much water or not enough water. So they fixed that with this system.
No, but it still has the same issue, right? If you fill, if you fill like if it's like a bleach refill, for example, not that there is a bleach refill, but if there is one, and then you put it in what used to be like a Windex, you're going to have that reaction between.
There is potential for error, right? Yeah.
And that's
so don't judge me, but I ate at Taco Bell.
And you read a book.
And
what are you doing?
Adam's fired.
We
love Taco Bell.
Dude, it's not even a taco. It's a Mexican sandwich. Did you not see that in Indiana they've passed a law that tacos are sandwiches?
No, I believe them though. So they hand me my food in a to-go bag, which I didn't ask for. And so I just take my food out, like literally he puts it in the bag and hands it to me. And I take my food out and I say, here, I don't need the bag. And he goes, oh, sir, I can't touch that. Health code regulations means that I can't take that back. And I'm like,
your hand's been in there.
What? He's like, yeah, no, I cannot, that you have to. So I had to go throw it away. There's no way to recycle. I'm like, well, that was a way. You could have just asked.
They really need recycling there. Yeah, they really do.
But then they have the TerraCycle, and I took a photo of it. They have TerraCycle for all of their sauce packets. And I was like, oh, well, what do I do with this? And it was like, you collect it and then you take it somewhere. And is there a drop-off location near you? And you can mail it here. I'm like, well, nobody's doing this in Taco Bell. I can't even recycle a paper bag.
Yeah, it's fast food. Like the U.S. Postal Service to recycle.
Yeah, I was. So, I mean, I think that there's so much stuff that is like, there's some pretty low hanging fruit that exists out there, right? Like that, you could put a TerraCycle collection, I guess, in the Taco
Put it
Bell
at the
stores where
store.
you're going to
Yeah.
offer it, and
Put it
just
at the
drop it in there,
drive-through.
and then
Yeah.
at the end of every day they just ship it out and it gets collected. You can ask, do you want this? So I think that reusable is
the refusal
a
option.
part of it, but if a store can't even take back a paper bag because they can't, if there are just like, how on earth are they going to start to clean stuff in a store, right? Like for reusable. I think fast food is a great place for this because they have really common form factors.
I agree.
Well, I mean, that's why McDonald's started that program in France.
But did it not go well?
It didn't go great.
Yeah.
But the reason they don't start those here in the US is for fear of litigation.
Right.
Outside of the US, somebody gets sick because they ate a French fry out of a reused container. They're just going to get sick. It's not, they're not going to sue the company.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's a challenge that that's a fear the brands have is if we do reusable and somebody gets sick, then we're liable. Or, somebody dies or worse, right? They're going to get,
this has gone dark.
Well, I started it off not.
Cory will find a way to make it happy and rainbows again.
No, you're right. There's real potential there for bad things to happen. But
Vincent says McDonald's had a gun to their head, and that's why they started in France. He is French, so. But all right, so what do we got here? Consumers did not ask for TerraCycle. Nice thought, but too difficult for us as consumers to do this. We didn't ask for a lot of things. I think that it's finding an opportunity.
I like TerraCycle. I like Loop. I wish it could work. It has to be the right products. I think Loop, a $10 container for Clorox wipes. That's not sustainable for a lot of people. They are scared away by that cost, even though it's refundable. It needs to be the right product with a low cost, easy to return. That can work.
Yeah.
LinkedIn user here that we can't see. I think it's Adam. He's just
notice something. This is my burner account. It's my burner account on LinkedIn. Adam is the best.
Who's a Deem peak? Yeah.
Adam. I was going to do that today. I was going to introduce you guys as Adam Peak, like the like that graduating class where the lady had to read it phonetically.
Oh my gosh, that was terrible.
Oh, that was so bad. Yeah, I mean, to LinkedIn users, obviously they're brilliant and they're a genius.
They must be.
They're great. There are just like the simplest things, like ask if somebody wants a straw. Don't just give out straws, right? Like,
yes.
Ask if they want a takeout bag or not. Like, don't just assume all of this stuff. It's like, and it saves you money. Like, that's the whole point as well. Is like, if you just hand out, like cutlery to people when they maybe they don't want, maybe they're going to take it home and they're going to use their cutlery there. Like, we just dump stuff all of the time onto people that may or may not be necessary. Just ask the questions. You save yourself money. You probably save a lot on waste. Okay. And you find your purpose, young people. You find your purpose if you just ask.
Damn. Look at that.
Check.
You bring it right back to the beginning.
Right
I think it's because you read a book.
Boom. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Talk about circular.
That was a full loop.
Look at that, Mike. Yeah, and it's circular. Mark makes a great point here. Starting it in schools would be great.
Good idea.
Yeah, I think that's a great system. Schools are. I just remember using those melamine trays as a kid. And you just throw them in there, and you'd have to every once in a while you'd have to be the one that was washing them, and they'd go back in the cycle, and that was great.
Yeah.
I do want to say, just gonna start wrapping up. Vince got a legislation point here. Legislation is definitely key, but it's also part of the issue. Like, for example, if you're buying paper bags for the US, if you're importing them from anywhere around the planet, there's been a big push to move paper bags, like, retail bags that have like ribbon handles. Brands have been moving into using paper handles because it's completely monomaterial and recyclable.
Yep.
But now there's legislation in place, or they're working on some new legislation that's going to make paper woven handles tariffed up to 230% to bring those into the country from China, Turkey, Portugal, Colombia. Like there's about 13 different countries that are importing paper bags with paper handles into the US. They're going to be tariffed up to 230%. So brands now are going back to plastic handles because those aren't tariffed.
Why would they do that? That's so weird.
Well, they're doing it for there's a couple of companies out there that are pushing for anti-dumping laws and making it really pushing for this, except for Mexico, because they actually have factories in Mexico, so then it's okay to bring them in from Mexico.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that's been a big challenge for brands.
Financially motivated, I see. Yep.
100%. So it's hurting recycling. But
well, you grew up in all those countries, so you could go back and talk to them.
You can help them out.
Oh, you have all your family there.
Yeah.
I actually do have family in a lot of those countries. All right, man.
Perfect.
So couple comments here, and then we'll get out. We had play trash ball campaign.
Isn't Ohio like a Gen Z word now, or like a Gen Alpha word?
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean like. What do you think about reusable bags at stores like Athleta?
I don't think people really reuse them.
People do reuse those. It's because it's like, I think for that one, people do reuse. It's kind of a flex to bring your lunch in an Athleta bag if you're a kid and carry your stuff around. People are like, oh my god,
the rich kids do.
Yeah, for sure.
Kids from the Pacific Northwest probably do. But the kids who are eating Taco Bell in Wichita, Kansas, are probably not flexing with their Athleta bags.
They'll give them a Taco Bell bag.
No, but it's probably like that South Park with Prime, right? There's kids that are drinking Prime and then selling the empty bottle to kids whose parents won't give them Prime.
Right.
So I'm sure there's kids out there selling those Athleta bags for money.
Probably.
What else we got? I'm curious, the larger paper manufacturers in the US, we don't have the capability to make woven paper handles costs. You don't have to worry because you can't bring it in because you're not going to be able to afford it because it's going to be 230% tariff on these things.
We didn't even talk about all the tariffs that were passed, which made me laugh because the last time we passed tariffs, there was a Republican president who did it. Now there's a Democrat president, and it's like the Republicans were like, "Yay, tariffs!" Or it's like tariffs are bad, and the Democrats who were like, "No, tariffs are bad. He's the worst." They're like, "This is a pretty good job." I'm like, maybe we're all a bunch of hypocrites. And then speaking of politicians, Brandon's comment here about legislation. I agree. We got to fix some stuff. I will give a shout out to LinkedIn user who has unearthed himself as SpecRight's own Zach France. So, today I will plug my webinar, which will be in approximately 3 hours.
Nice.
That I'm doing with SpecRight on controlling your data and why, when we talk about legislation, when we talk about LCAs, when we talk about all this stuff, costs and having to pivot and lightweight, you can't do any of that if you don't own your own data. And so we're going to talk about why brands need to control and own their data. I see it all the time on my side as a vendor where there's like, oh no, can I get that die line? It's like, you didn't keep it. You're not controlling your own die line. You don't know what your materials are. Like, it's crazy. How do you do QA inspections? How do you hold your vendors accountable? So noon, I'll be talking about that. I've dropped it a few times in terms of the registration link, but even if you can't watch it, because we've all watched so many webinars, you should 100% sign up.
It'll be recorded, right? Yeah.
And then tell me that you listened to the recording.
We'll put the link in these comments.
You really didn't. Yeah, I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll drop mine as well. I did a webinar with them on AI and data management as well. You can check that out. We kind of get into how it's a garbage in, garbage out model, right? If you're just using regular AI that you're seeing out there and trying to control your information, it's just too much information. There's a way to build it in-house, building your own large language model to spec your data, to control your factories and do all these different things that they're working on, which is pretty cool. So you can check that out and see kind of what the future of data management is going to look like.
Yes, SpecRight's incredible. I did a webinar with them about sustainable packaging and how you can use your data to test if a change would be actually more sustainable.
Am I the last one to do a webinar with him?
Yeah, sorry, third place.
Yeah,
Save the best for last, maybe. I don't know.
Cory and I had to beg them, like, come on, just let Adam do one.
Just let him. He's so sad after his Nuggets loss. Can you just put him on?
Yeah.
Give him something to talk about, but don't let him talk too much.
That's right. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. Leave a comment. We'll keep looking at this. Do us a favor if you're checking us out on the YouTubes. Subscribe. Hit the little bell thing. I don't know what the bell thing does, but do it anyway. We'll see you guys. Thanks a lot.
Live from Studio 3, this is Packaging Today with Evelio Matos.